The development of Greek cities and culture is a fascinating topic that spans over several centuries. Greek civilization began to emerge around 800 BCE, and it wasn't until the 5th century BCE that the Greeks began to experience their golden age. During this time, Greek cities became centers of trade, education, and philosophy. Greek city-states were largely independent and self-governing, with their own laws and political systems. Athens and Sparta were the two most prominent city-states during this time, each with their own unique culture and way of life. Athens was known for its focus on education, philosophy, and the arts, while Sparta was known for its militaristic society and focus on physical training. The Greeks also made significant advances in science, mathematics, and philosophy during this time. The philosopher Socrates, for example, is widely regarded as one of the most important figures in Western philosophy, and his teachings had a profound influence on subsequent thinkers such as Plato and Aristotle. However, the Greek city-states were not immune to conflict. The Persian Empire, a powerful force that controlled much of modern-day Iran and parts of Central Asia, launched several invasions of Greece in the 5th century BCE. The Greco-Persian Wars, also known as the Greco-Median Wars at the time, marked a turning point in history as they revealed the weakness of the once powerful Persian Empire. The emergence of ancient Greece on the horizon promised to dominate Asia in the near future. Despite being weaker, Greece emerged victorious in the wars against Achaemenid Empire. But why did Achaemenids, a much stronger empire, lose the conflict? The conflict of interests between the two regions was the main reason for this confrontation. While the Greeks settled on the coast of Asia Minor, gradually Hellenizing the surrounding peoples from the Armenians to the Hittites, an empire was forming in the east. Indo-European nomads came to Iran from the north and settled in these fertile lands. The northern part remained the home of nomadic tribes such as the Saka, Dahe, and Sarmatians, while the southern part was divided into two halves. One migrated south and captured Indian kingdoms, becoming the founders of the local civilization that wrote the Rig Veda and Mahabharata. The other remained in Iran and gave rise to the Medes, who gained strength over time and eventually defeated the Middle Eastern kingdoms. They soon conquered all lands from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, including Egypt and Palestine. King Cyrus proclaimed an empire that soon reached the borders of Europe and met the Greeks. The coastal Greeks were highly developed for their time, and being under the yoke of the Persians was difficult for them. They constantly rebelled, even when the rulers were from Achaemenid Empire, and the latter often supported the rebels. When some Greeks decided to leave their homeland and move west to mainland Greece, the Ionian cities rose up in rebellion again. Athens supported the rebels, and they managed to capture and defeat most of the Persian possessions in Asia Minor. But Achaemenid Imperium, or rather, Media, as it was more correctly called, crushed the rebellion with one hand. The Phoenician fleet, hired by Achaemenid Empire, sank the Greek fleet, and the garrisons of the Middle East killed the rebels and took the city of Miletus, where the rebellion was centered. Half of the city's residents were killed, and the rest were sold into slavery. The whole of Greece was furious at such treatment of their fellow Greeks. Tensions continued to escalate as Greece sought revenge, even depicting the tragedy of the fall of Miletus in theaters, resulting in the troupe receiving a formal fine for upsetting citizens. We are in the period of ancient Greek history when Persia is preparing for war with Athens. But the Athenians have a chance to escape the Persian invasion thanks to the fugitive Hippia, the former ruler of Athens, who provided them with information about the terrain and the best approaches to Achaemenid Empire. The Persian army began its advance from Asia Minor, where they built wide ferry ships to transport soldiers and horses between islands. The first city on their path was Eretria, which they took easily, thanks to the excellent terrain for cavalry, the main striking force of the Iranians. But then came Marathon. The Greek army is led by Miltiades, the former head of the Thracian Chersonese, who overthrew the Persians. He knows the tactics of the Persians well and many commanders. The Greeks decided to attack, hearing that the Persians planned to attack Athens. Heavy infantry hoplites literally rushed to attack the enemy and crushed the Persians. This allowed the Greeks to minimize losses from terrible Persian archers, and their cavalry did not have time to form for an attack. The Persians decided to temporarily retreat while Greece celebrates its success. However, when King Darius died, Xerxes ascended the throne of Achaemenid Empire, who took into account the previous experience and leads a real fleet. Athens imposed the harshest taxes and built a huge fleet on them, which was supposed to prevent the enemy's landing. However, only a third of the polis at the Pan-Hellenic Assembly agreed to fight with Achaemenid Empire. This meant that the enemy could easily pass through their lands to Athens. Those who remained in the alliance, Athens and Sparta, had to hastily change their strategy from maritime restraint to the defense of their cities along the way. Xerxes' million-strong army was mentally and physically exhausted by Leonidas at Thermopylae, where his 300 Spartans held off the Persian forces, but it was just a drop in the bucket. Xerxes plundered and burned Athens, severely damaging Sparta, but then Athens delivered an unexpected response. Their navy attacked the Persian fleet near the city of Salamis, and Xerxes himself, watching from his throne on a cliff, witnessed the defeat of his forces. He was informed that the Greeks wanted to destroy the bridges in Asia, which the Persians had made, and for some reason, this so frightened the ruler of Achaemenid Empire that he hastened to retreat to Asia, leaving only a quarter of his army in Greece for the winter. When spring came, Achaemenid Empire began the war again. Fresh forces from Asia and the Persians who had wintered with the Greeks moved on Athens, which the inhabitants were rebuilding from the ruins. Sparta, which had become the leader after the destruction of Athens, decided to give the decisive battle at Plataea. Although the heavy infantry of the Greeks was outnumbered by Persians, they were 2 heads taller and stronger as warriors. This army simply crushed the Persians and turned them into flight. Now the war had come to the east. The Aegean Sea became Greek, and for another 30 years, Achaemenid Empire and Greece would wage war in Asia Minor, where gradually Greek cities would gain their freedom. The defeat of the Achaemenid Empire at the hands of the Greeks was the result of several factors. Firstly, the Persian army was numerous but poorly trained, equipped with inferior weaponry and lacking proper armor. Secondly, the Persians were not adept at utilizing the terrain to their advantage, unlike the Greeks who used their knowledge of the land to great effect. Thirdly, the Persians had no compelling reason to conquer Greece other than revenge, making their efforts unfocused and haphazard. Moreover, the Persian Empire was archaic and outdated, with a military that was more reminiscent of the Bronze Age. In contrast, the Greeks had a highly advanced military system that utilized innovative tactics and advanced weaponry, such as the heavily armored hoplites. As a result of these factors, the Greeks emerged victorious and gained a newfound sense of pride and superiority over the Persians. This paved the way for Alexander the Great, who later conquered the Persian Empire and brought an end to its reign. It is worth noting that while the Persian Empire was defeated by the Greeks, it was not completely destroyed. The empire remained a powerful force in the ancient world for many years, and continued to wage wars with the Greeks and other neighboring states. However, its defeat by the Greeks marked a turning point in its history, and paved the way for the rise of new powers in the ancient world. In conclusion, the Greco-Persian Wars were a significant moment in ancient history, marking a clash of civilizations and shaping the development of Western culture. The victories of the Greeks over the mighty Persian Empire were due to their superior tactics, training, and equipment, as well as their unity and determination in the face of a powerful adversary. The legacy of the Greco-Persian Wars has been far-reaching, influencing literature, art, politics, and warfare for centuries to come. The lessons learned from these conflicts continue to resonate in modern times, reminding us of the importance of courage, resilience, and strategic thinking in the face of adversity. Thank you for watching this video on my channel, Echoes of the Ancient World. Join the channel and write your comment below this video.